Hello, this is Carol from Caroline Creates. I'm working a short video here to show you how to work the first 5 rows of one of my designs in the Flowers in Bloom little group of 4 patterns that are worked from the centre out that you can join together to create a blanket if you wish, or even a cushion if you're using larger yarn, thicker yarn. First of all, I just want to show you what the chart, explain to the chart about the chart a little bit. I'm going to do a magic circle here, and there's 8 SCs here, and only this part will just be done in the yellow, the centre of the flower. And then after that, I'll be using the background colour yarn, colour A, I mean, and these little triangle, these little bits here represent the corner, and in row 1 it's an SC1 there, and it's then a chain 1 and another SC, and the purple colour here is the pattern colour, and in row 2 I'm going to do DC corners, so I'm calling these are DC corners and these are SC corners. In the DC corner there's a DC, chain 1, DC. And so both of these DCs are worked into the front loop of the chain down here in the magic circle. The row number for these corners, it just doesn't fit in this square, so it's just underneath there, because this is where it would, this is the row 2 here, goes all the way around here. And the same with the 4, because that's another DC corner there. Okay, well, I might as well mention here what I'm using, what chart this is. This is in Knit Companion, which is a free app, which is fantastic if you haven't used it, and I only use the free version. And just ignore these numbers along the bottom here, by the way. They won't be in the pattern. This yellow line moves up to keep track of your rows, and the blue line moves this way to keep track of your stitches. I don't need the blue line because this is such a small pattern, but in very large patterns it's fantastic to keep track of your stitches. So we'll get started now on the magic circle. So these patterns I'm using a yellow for the centre of all of these little flowers, and in this one the yellow is only going to be for that around the magic circle here, and then I will change to the pattern, the flower colour, when I get to row 2. So to start, I'm doing a magic circle, and you really do need to keep enough yarn to weave in later. If you don't want to do a magic circle, a lot of people struggle with it, you can do chain 2 and work all of these stitches into the second chain from your hook. So the magic circle, this is how I do it. I go around 2 fingers and then cross over. But here I've got my weaving in yarn end here. And then go under the first section and then pull the other bit through. I think the trickiest part is trying to hold it all together here while you get your yarn around your fingers, however you work your tension. And then you do a chain 1, so that kind of holds it together. I'll just do that again. Long piece again for the weaving in. Wind around, go around 2 fingers, cross over, and then under the first one, pull the second one through, and then just get it all together. Get your tension sorted. And then chain 1. So that's your magic circle. And over these 2 strands of yarn here is where I'm going to work 8 SCs. So I'll just do that now. Oops. Went through split the yarn there. Now I think this is 8, but I'll just have to recount to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yes. So then you pull your end piece, not completely tight, just enough so you can get to that very first stitch. And so then you have the magic circle here. Now I'm going to show you the join that Bebablanket has created, and it's fantastic because you really can't see the joins. So I'll just show you. So you pull your yarn out here, it's like that, and then go put the hook through the back loop here. It's an invisible join, they call it. It's used in going through the back loop like this is used in quite a few crochet patterns these days. Then you pull that loop through to the back like that. And so now I'm going to just pull this circle a little bit tighter here, and I'll fix it up properly later on. So now I'm going to join, as you can see in the pattern here. This part is, this is going to be the background colour. We're going to start row 1 now. So I have to join my background colour. Getting myself tangled up here, which is the blue. So I like to get it around my hand first for the tension, but keeping enough yarn for weaving in later on. And so you've got this back loop here, and what you do is you just pull the yarn through and then tighten. Using you tighten, it's the long thread of yarn, and then it's a chain 1. Now to start off, we do the first corner. So in that same stitch, in the back loop of that first corner there, and I'm going to actually go over some of the end here. So the first corner is a SC1, chain 1. Oops, I forgot a very important thing to show you here. I'll go back and do it. Okay. So in that first corner, I won't worry about going over that. In that first, in the first stitch of every corner, I'm sorry, my words are just not all falling together properly today. To get a nice neat look on the back, you can take your long stretch of yarn here, the one that's joined to your ball, and put it over the hook and then pull through. So that it'll give you a nice neat look on the back. Then you drop it down and chain 1 and then SC into the same loop again. So that's your first corner. And so in this row, it's just corner, then 1 SC, and then another corner until you get around to the end. So it's 1 SC, another corner, and of course, as you know, with Overlay Mosaic Crochet, everything is worked into the back loop for the SCs. So now I'm doing another corner here, 1 SC, chain 1, and another SC into the same back loop, and then just a regular SC, and then another corner, 1 SC, chain 1, and another SC in the same loop, and then another regular SC, then another corner, oops, and then another SC. And now to the join here. What is helpful is if you use stitch markers. If you're new to crochet, it's always useful to put a stitch marker in that corner chain so you can find it easily. And also the first stitch of every round can be a bit tricky to get into that SC there. So on this first round, slightly different to the other rounds, so I'm going to make the join. So this is slightly different to the following rounds, which I will show you. So the join goes through. You can see that corner. This is the first SC of the corner. Now that's the chain 1 from behind, which will be covered up. So, so you go into the back loop here again. So that's that. So every other join is going to be slightly different, and I'll show you that in a moment. So now I'm going to join my pattern colour. And as you can see here for row 2, just move that up. So we're going to be working on here, row 2. The first, it's a DC corner. So I will show you how to do that after the join. So I'm joining in my flower colour, my pattern colour, colour B. This time. And from here on it'll just be the colour A and colour B. Oh, the yellow was just for the centre. You can pull that blue loop a bit tight at the back and then a chain 1. Now as this is a DC corner, I'll be working into that front loop down here from the previous corner there. And so the first stitch is going to be a DC into that corner, and a chain 1, and then another DC into that corner, into that front loop. Okay, and then after that the pattern is, there are three DCs across here, and then the next corner. And they all will go. No, sorry, I'm just doing something wrong here. I forgot. So that's silly. I forgot to mention this. The very first DC out of these 3 is also going to go into that front loop here from this original round here, the same loop as these corner DCs go into. So always, that's always the case. If you have a DC straight after a corner DC, they'll always go into that same front loop. So it's 1, 2, and this last one is going to go into the next corner front loop. Okay. Now on to the next DC corner, which is DC again into this corner front loop here. DC 1, chain, then a DC 1. Because I'm getting a bit tangled here. What I need to do is I'm actually going to cut the yellow yarn here, so I'm not using it again, and leaving enough there to weave in. I've done the, that's the corner, so it's a chain 1 and then the rest of the corner. I'll just check that's correct. Got my first corner, then I've got 1, 2, 3. Hang on, what have I done here? My first corner, 1, 2, 3. Oops, that's incorrect. Isn't it always the way when you're doing a video that everything is not correct? Now, my first corner, 1, 2, 3, and then my second corner, and now I have to do 3 again. Oops, I've still got that chain in there. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry if this is confusing you. I'll get it back on track. So that's 1. This is the hardest part of this pattern. As you get along, it gets a lot easier. 2, then 3. The third one goes into that corner front loop. And now I have to do another DC corner. So that's a DC 1, a chain 1, and then a DC 1. Now 3 DCs, the first one going into that corner chain. So you actually end up with 4 DCs altogether in that chain. So that's 1. 2, 3, the third one goes into the next corner chain. And then I have to start the corner again in that same chain. So 1 DC, chain 1, and then another DC. And I'll start my 3 again. So the first one goes into that corner chain, and the next one goes here. Now it can look a little bit tricky when you get here, but I know that my last stitch has to go into this corner chain, but it looks like there's another stitch there, if you can see, but it's not. That's the join from before, but you won't see that later on. That's where we pulled the yarn to the back, that little loop to the back. So that's the last stitch. And I can pull that yellow there to tighten it up a bit. There we go. So that's the round 2. Now I just wanted to show you the back here. What I've done, this is unattached. But when it comes to the way I do it in this little section at the beginning here is that when I weave these yarns in, I will attach those corners. I'll just go and get the designs here to show you how I've done that. This is the one that I'm actually we're working on at the moment. And at the back, it's not the neatest, but I just caught those yarns in at the back there. Okay, so the next round, round 3, is an SC corner, just to start with. So now I have to do my join. So on that first stitch there of the round, you go through the back loop, and pull this loop through. And then use my, it's a little fiddly at this stage, but when you get past this small area, it's an awful lot easier. And so you're pulling I'm onto my background colour now, so I'm pulling the blue yarn through, and I'll just tighten that up, and then a chain one. So you pull a loop through and a chain one on every round. And the first stitch now, so I've pulled that through here on the first stitch of the last round, and the first stitch of the corner now goes straight into that chain, the corner chain, and it's an SC corner, so I'll enter the back loop. And again, I have to try and remember, I have great difficulty remembering this for some odd reason. Put the previous round's yarn over your hook for that first stitch, and that'll give you a much neater look on the back. So you've got your chain one, your SC1, chain one, and then you drop that yarn at the back, and then you've got another SC1. I'll just show you the neatness of the back, if I can find one that turned out okay. Some of them, yes, you can see on this one here, it's got, the back is quite neat there. It can be a little tricky getting it when you're doing the DC corners to get those to look sort of neat, but this one's worked out quite well. And on some of them I have forgotten to, and this one I have forgotten to put the yarn over the hook there, and you'll get these loops like that. And this is the part where I've remembered it. Oh dear, never mind. Okay, so I've done that first corner, and in this round it's just going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 SCs, and then a corner all the way around. So 5 SCs into the back loop. Oh, before I continue, one tip. Now, when we come around to this join again here, that stitch where we did the invisible join, that will be your last stitch of the round. So it's very hard, as you can see. It's a bit tricky to get to the back loop there. But so it's quite handy if you put a slip stitch in there for two reasons. The first you know that that's your last stitch, and also it helps to you can loosen up the loop a bit to get your hook in. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in this corner chain I'm working a corner, SC, one corner, so it's 1 SC, one chain, 1 SC into the same back corner loop. Now I'm on the next corner, SC, chain 1, SC into that back loop, and then 5 SCs, and then another corner. Now in the last row there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see that where the stitch marker is, that's my last stitch. It's always your last stitch there where the join was. So I can loosen it a little and do my last SC in there, and that covers up the join at the back. There we go. So again, the join is going through, you always go through that first SC or DC, whatever it is you've got on the corner there, that first of the corner stitch. And if you're not sure about where your corners, you can see that these stitches are all coming out of the same area. So that's how you know where the corner is. So go through that last one. I find if it's a bit hard to get through from the back, you can loosen it up going through the front, and then it's easy to go straight through from the back. Now I'm changing over to my colour B, and I like to pull it, the previous one, a bit tight. Pull it through, tighten the blue yarn, and then a chain 1. And so now we're on to row 4, which is a DC corner. As you can see there, this is row 4's corner here. So the corner is worked into that front loop chain here from the previous round. Then it's a chain 1, and then another in the same front loop, another DC. And the rest of the pattern here, I'll just put it where you can possibly see it as I'm working. It's a DC which goes, because it's the first DC here next to that one, they always go into that same front loop there. So it's a DC, then a SC, oops, sorry, DC, and 2 SCs, Cs and a DC, oops, and then an SC. I just have to move this out of the way because that's a bit hard to work with it there. I often struggle with keeping my so I don't wander off the screen, keeping it in focus here. So there's the last SC and the DC corner again in that front loop from 2 rows below. So it's 1 DC, 1 SC, 1 DC. And then there's the first DC of the round. Then it's an SC. That's another DC. And 2 SCs. This pattern's not symmetrical, this particular one, so that's why it looks, the stitches are different on each corner, each end. 1 DC, then 1 SC, and then on DC corner. Chain DC, chain 1, DC, and then there's a DC1, 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 2 SCs, and DC1, Another SC. Just get my yarn untangled. Now I'm up to a DC corner, which is in that. Sometimes it's a bit tricky to see, but you can see here that that's the corner because they're all in the same back loop there. And this is the front loop below it. DC1, SC, and another DC. And it's another DC. First, as I said, the first DC is always into that same, if there is a DC, it's always into that same front loop. There. There's the corner. Two SCs, one DC. So it can be a bit tricky here because you've got that slip stitch in there, but that's the DC there. I think that's right. Wait a minute. No, it's not. It's here. No, that's it. That's it. That's it. And then there's an SC. So the SC is in that corner join. I should have put a stitch marker in there like before, but I can show you now where it is. It's this, where we've done that join. There, that's that. I'll put a stitch marker in the next one too. So the last stitch is an SC. There we go. And now it's another join, which is through the back loop here of that. The first, it's always through the back loop of the first corner stitch. Okay. So pull the other yarn up through and then chain one and then tighten this yarn. Actually, I might just do that again because I could have I often do things I think I should have done that. No, I think I did it right in the first place. I don't know what I'm doing here. Not a very good thing to say when you're doing a video. So there we go, the chain one. And now it's a SC corner. So in that chain there, as you can see, that's the chain, the back loop of the chain. And if you bring over your yarn from the previous row, and then the SC, chain one, SC, but drop that yarn back down from the previous row. So that's the corner. Now, some people, with these DC corners, and there are some where you've got more DCs along the sides here, you might have a bit of a flap at the back here. You can catch those with a reverse stitch if you wanted to do that. But I'll just show you in a moment how to do that if you would like to catch those, especially if you've got, you know, there's a number of them on the corner. In the pattern I've got some photos of that. So now it's 2 SC here. When I get to that other corner, I will show you. Although that's such a little corner, it's not really worth the catching of the loop, but I'll show you anyway. 2 SC, 1 DC. 1 SC, then it's 2 DC, one SC, 1 DC, and then 1 SC. Now if you wanted to catch this loop down here, this is how I have done it. Go through there's a number of ways to do this, but this is the way I've been doing it on mine. So if you go through the back loop here, then the back loop of the stitch down below from the previous round, pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through again. So you've still got your SC on here and it's joined it up without actually pulling your yarn too tightly, pulling it down. Okay, so the next corner is an SC corner, chain 1 and SC. I'll just do that again on this next stitch. If you let me see, yeah, the next stitch is an SC, so you can go down. I'll just show you that, well, it's a bit hard to do because it's such a small little corner there. But, you can go through the back loop, pull the yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through again. So my corner, and then that's 1, 2 SCs. So I'll just show you on one of my other ones here where there's a number of SCs, how I've done it. If I can find which one that is here. It's on here. Is that the corner? I've done a number of on this one here, on the back, because there were quite a few. There's all of these DCs here around the corner, and so on the back I did some of those reverse stitches there to catch those corners so they didn't have a flap there. Okay, so that's a DC here. One SC, 2 DCs, one SC, 1 DC, and then 1 SC. I'll just put this stitch marker over here in this original corner here, just so that I know. Because you see how that back loop goes right in the join? I'm just going to put this stitch marker in here so when I get to it, it's easy to find. So it's an SC corner. And 2 SCs. I'm not going to catch these corners because they're very small. It's only in the bigger ones that I think it's really necessary, because you can see that that's quite a small area there. 1 DC. I hope I'm making sense here. 1 SC. 2 DCs. One SC, 1 DC, 1 SC, and another SC corner. SC1, chain 1, SC1, then 2 SCs, one DC, 1 SC, 2 DCs, it's very humid here today. My yarn is not flowing through my fingers as it should. 1 SC, 1 DC, and the last stitch is an SC, which is right where that, in that back loop here. See. And then the join again. There we go. So that's 5 rows. I hope it's been of some help to you. But, so I'll just show you what pattern this is. That's, I don't know if you can see that there. I'll just move my frame away. That's what this pattern is here for this one here. I think it's number 3, flower number 3. And that's the bit in the middle that we've started. Okay, I hope that's been helpful to you, and you can always message me if you have any issues with my patterns, and thank you for watching.